So today's chapter is going to be chapter number 11 in Immortal Talks Part 2, known as the awareness setting. So just to recap, there are three main concepts that Lord Hanuman has told us. One is the concept of fluid of space and strings of time. The second concept is of suras and asuras. And the third concept is of what is the third concept? The first concept is fluid of space and strings of time, suras and asuras, and there's a third concept. So, basis of these immortal talks are these three concepts which we really need to understand very deeply, and only then does it form the foundation for what we are going to be reading. So, in the previous chapter, we read about the four mental bodies. So, the four mental bodies are the intellect, which only knows about, the intellect only which knows the feeling, the intelligence, which is the logical mind, then the samskara body, then the chitta body. So, these are the four mental bodies which actually govern every single response or reaction to the stimuli which the external world is providing. After this comes the next chapter, which is the awareness setting. So please understand that there are suras and asuras everywhere. Every positive emotion is felt by the sura. Every negative emotion is felt by the asura. So when we are unaware, we feel that it is us which is feeling these emotions. But the asuras hijack us when we feel any kind of negative emotion, and they don't leave us. They are always, meandering, they are always around us. Because through us, they get to do a lot of bad deeds in this world. The good deeds are also the positive, happy emotions that we call are actually felt by the suras, which is also not us. So, suras and asuras are constantly making us feel either happy or sad. And this is the duality that we need to get out of. So, in this, how do we overcome the duality? Is through awareness. But if you are extremely aware, then you will not be able to enjoy the world. And if you are completely unaware, then you will go through it thinking this is the only reality. So the awareness setting is somewhere in between. How do we set that? That is what this chapter is about. After a short break, Lord Hanuman resumed his talks with a question. Dear disciples, what is the difference between an ignorant soul and an aware soul? Urmi replied quickly. We will express our gratitude to Urmi. Deva, an aware soul is a relatively free soul. It can withdraw from or enter into a scene at its own will. On the other hand, an ignorant soul blindly rolls from one scene to another by imitating the character it's attached to. So we understood this about the soul and the character. So Urva replied, we'll express our gratitude to Urva. Urva replied, Deva, an aware soul knows that the character's desires are foolish because they all emanate from the root desire of becoming complete, which is never going to be fulfilled. It is aware that the character is incomplete by definition. It is aware it gets attached to a character at its own free will just to enjoy the feelings and emotions which result from a character's attempts to become complete. Janaki Rupa replied, we will express our gratitude to Janaki Rupa. Deva, an ignorant soul, identifies itself with the mind, which is the composite of the four mental bodies. On the other hand, an aware soul can separate itself from the mind. Indeed, said Lord Hanuman, when the mind feels pleasure, pain, or anything else, an ignorant soul is bound to feel the same. An aware soul, on the other hand, can withdraw from the feelings of the mind at its own will. The question is, how to make an ignorant soul aware? We are all living in unawareness, right? Because Whenever there is something that happens in this world, we get carried away in the emotions, be it positive emotions or negative emotions. We are always being carried in the flow of emotions. There is never a minute where we are actually able to withdraw ourselves from our emotions, from our thoughts, from our desires, to actually question ourselves, to ask, who is feeling this? When we ask the question, who is feeling this, there is a spark of awareness which creates a distance between the character and the soul. By making the mind visible, Deva, replied Janaki Rupa, you just made all our souls aware by telling us the secret of the invisible four, by making them visible. Now my soul is not mistaking itself as a mind. Right at this moment, my soul is a mute spectator as it watches my character speak these words. Let's do this exercise. Each of you is a character which is listening to me. You, the soul, is observing. I, the soul, am reading. I, the soul, am observing. Me, the character Anil, is reading. So you, the character Ashutosh, is listening. You, the character Vandana, is listening. You, the character Khushbu, is listening. But what is the soul doing? The soul is aware that you are listening, that the character is listening. Okay? A serene smile stretched upon Lord Hanuman's face as he quietly said, if your mental bodies have become visible to you, I should take your leave. There is nothing more to be taught. Isn't it? It's so amazing because an enlightened man is somebody who is, they say, self-realized. A self-realized man is somebody who has put so much of distance between himself and the character, between the soul and the character, that no amount of emotions are going to affect him or her. No, Deva, said Urva at once. They are not visible yet. Janaki Rupa corrected herself. They are not visible as visible as my physical body. Deva, only their outline has become visible yet. That too is very faint. Lord Hanuman said, I just gave you the basic technical knowledge about your mental bodies. Now you have to start practicing it. While acting on a desire, you should try to trace it back to your mental bodies. Behind every desire, one or more of your mental bodies are involved. When you start practicing, you will mentally feel like a toddler in the process of learning about various bodily functions. To help you practice, I will take you to different scenes from different times, ranging from long before Ramayana period to this day. So let us embark on the journey. When you make your mental bodies completely visible, you will be able to change your characters without my help. That's what I am waiting for, Deva, said Urva excitedly. The first thing I want to do is get into the character of a mainstream human being. I want to experience high levels of greed, ego and ignorance. Urmi spared Urva a contemptuous look before speaking to the immortal Guru. Deva, I am apprehensive about venturing into other characters. What if my soul gets stuck in an ignorant character? I will have to repeat the long process of finding a Guru and getting the supreme knowledge to free my soul. Urmi's apprehensions punctured Urva's excitement. He said glumly, Deva, that's a valid concern. When my soul migrates to another character, all the memories and knowledge earned by my Urva character will stay with Urva. As soon as I enter a greedy character, a greedy and ignorant character, I will lose all my knowledge, my skill of switching characters. I will not be able to come out from that character. Lord Hanuman waited for a moment. When nobody else confirmed or denied this concern, he asked, in the process of imparting knowledge to your character and making your mental bodies visible, what happens to the soul? Did you understand the question? In the process of imparting knowledge to your character, and making your mental bodies visible, what happens to the soul? Soul is aware. Just now we did an exercise. What happens to the soul? The soul is aware that the character is listening. My soul is aware that my character is speaking. Right? So what is happening to the soul? It is becoming aware of the character. Lord Hanuman waited for a moment. Okay, he said, Urmi says, some changes happen in the linga code of the soul, Deva. The soul becomes aware, said Urva. What do you mean by an aware soul? Asked Lord Hanuman. An aware soul can withdraw itself from a scene. An aware soul can distance itself from the character, answered Urva. What is the structural difference between an aware soul and an unaware soul? Asked Lord Hanuman. Urmi began. This is the same, we are going back to the question with which we began the chapter. Urmi began. A soul is nothing but the linga code it wears, Deva. So any difference between an aware soul and an ignorant soul has to be in the linga code. Interesting. Lord Hanuman said, in the core of the linga code of a soul, there is an arrangement of karma and desire that determines the awareness of a soul. That arrangement is known as awareness setting. Your linga code determines which scene you can experience. Your awareness determines how closely or distantly you experience it. So you know what is the linga code, right? If you've forgotten. Correct. So the linga code is the code which is given to the aura. Okay, which determines where you will take birth, what will be your life experiences, all of that, which is again determined by your karma and desire. So your karma and desire coordinates are all over your linga code. Okay, so think of linga as a silhouette. Okay, it's it's a shadow. Alright, so if the shadow comes out of you, that is the linga code. This linga code has all the information as to everything that you have to experience and learn in this life. That is the linga code. So, the linga code of course is based on karma and desire. That is the third concept. So, we had fluid of space and strings of time, sura and asura, and the third one was karma and desire. Alright. So, he says, your linga code determines which scene you can experience, correct? Your awareness setting determines how closely or how distantly you experience it. It is called a setting because its value varies from a minimum and maximum, say 0 to 100. When your soul's awareness setting is set to 0, it has no awareness. It is completely ignorant. Through these talks, I am enabling you to set it to 100. Urva enthusiastically attempted to complete this Guru's sentence. No, said Lord Hanuman. When awareness is 100, you can't experience a scene at all. Awareness takes you away from the experience. Imagine that your character is eating something delicious. When you are aware that you are a soul, not the character, you will not be able to enjoy the experience of eating delicious food as much, will you? But when your awareness is 0, you experience a scene in the most intimate possible way. That intimate experience cost me my freedom, Deva, said Urmi. My soul would get trapped inside the character if its awareness drops to 0. So awareness must be somewhere in between 0 and 100. Not 0 and not 100. Deduced Urva. The immortal yogi relayed what he had learned from his experiences. When your awareness is more than 50, the scene feels like it's happening on a stage and you are a mere audience. When it goes below 50, you start identifying with the character. You start feeling you are the character. I think my awareness is somewhere between 10 and 20 right now, Deva. By the end of these talks, will it reach 99? Asked Urva. What is my awareness level? I will say it is about 10 to 15. What about you?
Below 10, I think so.
What is yours? So, yeah. Remember one thing. Awareness is something which keeps falling. So, it is an every day, every minute, every second exercise. So they say, right, you don't have to go to the Himalayas. Your litmus test is right here. Because if we are able to stay in this world, there are so many different difficult scenarios, happy scenarios, sad scenarios that we are going through. There are failures at every step. Today I experienced a massive failure. I was not able to score. I was playing cricket. I went one down. Last match, I was 73 not out from 44 balls. Today I was out at 9. Okay, and I came back. Now before I went into bat, I told myself, no matter what I score, I am going to be in complete acceptance. Whether I score a century or whether I score a 0, it is what it is. This character will go, experience that and come out. So life is full of successes and failures. Life is full of happiness and sadness. Life is full of celebrations. Now New Year's is coming, and once you get into your usual job, there will be again you have to face the job, you have to face the colleagues, you have to face the customer. All of that is there. In going through all of these, can we be aware? Is the big question. It takes a lot of experience. It takes a lot of practice to keep telling myself that this is all an illusion. Nothing is real. Everything is Maya. I am unnecessarily getting dragged into these emotions. And then I ask, who is telling this I that this is all an illusion? Somebody is telling that this is all an illusion. Who is that I which is saying this is an illusion? So I say, Anil is the one saying this is an illusion. So the soul against distances from its character. So you can apply a lot of techniques for your daily life. But then if you get sucked into emotions, your awareness will fall. Just remember this. And then you can ask yourself, if there are a flow of emotions, whether they are happy or sad, who is the asura who has hijacked me? Who is the sura who has hijacked me? If I'm feeling very happy, immediately I become aware and I ask, who is that sura? Somebody is coming and experiencing all this happiness inside me. Who is that? Okay, when I hit that 73 and our team won, that time I was asking myself, somebody is hijacking me to feel this happiness. Who is it? Who is it? And today again when I did not score, I was again asking myself, somebody is wanting to experience this failure, coming and hijacking me. Who is it? Who is it? So when you are asking yourself continuously these questions, then you are not gripped by those emotions. Let us continue. So he says, the goal of these talks is to enable your soul to change its awareness setting at its own will from 1 to 99. Said Lord Hanuman, changing awareness setting is like moving a smooth pottery wheel. It's dangerously easy to go from 99 to 0, from freedom to trap. I want you to master this awareness setting so that you never, not even by accident, switch to 0 awareness while enjoying a scene. It's a switch to 0, it's a challenging task because 0 awareness tantalizingly allows you to enjoy a scene in the most intimate way. The knowledge I am giving you is not supposed to sit in your mind. It's not for conducting esoteric debates and feeling good about it. Not even a sentence spoken in these talks will remain with you when you change your character. Everything will be left here. Your soul's mastery over its awareness setting is the only thing that will stay with you. Which means that if I am to change my character, now in the beginning of this story, Hanumanji talks about how he's able to, he gave us the answers of how a soul can move and change characters. Which means if the learning of my character is over and I want to experience, let's say, being in a supreme athlete's body, a supreme cricketer's body, I can move out of this character and go to that character, experience, take that learning, then go to another character which wants to experience a wealth, pleasure. I'll experience that and come back. But the only thing that remains is how you train your soul. The soul will always carry the imprint. When I say that, there are a lot of people who we say they are born geniuses, right? For example, let's say Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli. I mean, even if I had to put the same amount of practice from age 8 or 10 since they started playing, they will suddenly accelerate and become someone phenomenal. Whereas I will probably I might become a Rohan Gavaskar or somebody like that. I may not achieve greatness. That's because of lives and lives of birth after birth. That person having invested. If you want to learn music, some become geniuses. Why? Because the soul knows it. When it takes a character, music comes naturally to it. Like this. Just today I was thinking, what is it that I should invest in myself for the soul to take it forward in my next birth? Always ask yourself this question. It's a very hard question. Because if I have to invest myself in music, I know I'm a bad singer. But if I say that I'm a bad singer, I will always, even in my next birth, I will be a bad singer. If I say that, I have not been able to practice, let's say, humility, patience. I used to get, even now I probably get angry a little fast. If I'm not able to practice patience, if I'm not able to practice, controlling my anger, I will be born in my next birth also having the same qualities. So what do you invest in? It's very important. Ask yourself this question. What are those things that I need to be investing in? If I think I'm bad at something, let me invest in it. Because that is my investment in my soul for my next birth.
Do you think सोल पे काम करेंगे तब वो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन में जानेंगे तो रहेगा
तुम कैरेक्टर पे काम करोगे तो वो सोल तक उधर ही जाएगा ना. तो तुम कोई भी कैरेक्टर लो, वो कैरेक्टर उस गुण में निपुण हो जाएगा. Your soul's mastery over its awareness setting is the only thing that will stay with you. This reminds me of a story. So I was reading this book. I was going from Ahmedabad to Kolkata, long train journey. In that train journey, I was reading a book. I was only 25 or 26 years of age, and I was reading. I think I told you this, right? I don't know if you have all heard about it. I was reading the book Autobiography of a Yogi. I was so influenced by the book that I wanted to run to the Himalayas and become a yogi. I wanted to understand, how these guys are able to experience so much. But I wish I had a guru that I could talk to. And I kept thinking so powerfully and strongly that God, I wish I had a guru to talk to. That the train stopped at a station and there was a yogi, what do you call it, rishi kind of, Baba. And there were about 100 people who garlanded, took his Ashirwad and all that. And I thought to myself, I wish I could talk to him. And correctly, he came and sat right next to me. Then I started talking to him and I asked, how did you become a yogi? So he said, Mera Janma, and he was speaking in very Shuddh Hindi, okay? So he said, Mera Janma बिहार के एक ठाकुर खानदान में हुआ था और हमारे दादा परदादाओं के ज़माने से हमारे पास बहुत सारी ज़मीन था. और जब मैं छोटा था 6 साल के उम्र में मैं जाके एक हनुमान मंदिर में जाके ध्यान करता था. और फिर मुझे जब मैं 8 साल का था तो मुझे पता चला कि ये जो दुनिया है ये मेरे लिए नहीं है, संसार मेरे लिए नहीं है. तो मैं भाग गया अपने गुरु के खोज में और गुरु मुझे मिले. मेरा सौभाग्य है कि गुरु मुझे मिले और उन्होंने मुझे उसी मार्ग पे लेके गए. तो आई आस्क्ड हिम और रादर माय फर्स्ट थॉट वाज कि मेरे साथ ऐसे क्यों नहीं हुआ. मैं जब 6 साल का था तो मेरे साथ ऐसे क्यों नहीं हुआ कि मैं जाके किसी हनुमान मंदिर में जाके बैठ के ध्यान करूं, और इनको ऐसे क्यों लगा? तो आई आस्क्ड, मुझे ऐसे क्यों नहीं लगा? तो ही सेड, बच्चा ये जन्म जन्मों का साधना का परिणाम है. As simple as that. So if we have to invest in ourselves today, okay, then the only thing we can do is moving closer to God, investing in sadhana, because those who have attained that, right, it is not that in one birth they have attained, it's multiple births. All the young Madhans felt as though they had been robbed of something precious. What was it? Perhaps their pride in receiving the supreme knowledge from their immortal Guru, Dhanushka. We will express our gratitude to Dhanushka. See, whenever these characters talk, right, they are exposing a new knowledge to us, and we can only but be in gratitude to them. Dhanushka spoke for all of them. Decades spent waiting for your arrival, Deva. Decades, 41 years. Years and years of preparing to receive this knowledge. Hundreds of hours of talks that have barely started. Was it all for just a small setting in the Linga code of our souls? As simple as that, right? But it takes births and births to master. Yes, if you can master your awareness setting, you can live any scene you want to live in the universe. To migrate to a better life, you don't even need to master the full range of awareness setting. A little bit of awareness is enough for the gods to help you shift to a better life. That is what is going to happen with Anita's soul shortly. I am going to help her migrate from scenes of poverty to the scenes of prosperity at the first break of awareness, said Lord Hanuman. But she hasn't got any knowledge, Deva. She hasn't made her invisible mental bodies visible. How can her soul become aware suddenly? Asked Murni. There are mainly two paths to make your mental bodies visible, told Lord Hanuman. One is the path of knowledge, the path on which you are progressing. This is also awareness. One is the path of knowledge, the path on which you are progressing. The other is the path of devotion, Bhakti Marga. One is Jnana Marga, of continuously trying to change our awareness, coming into awareness of our emotions. That is Jnana Marga. The second is Bhakti Marga. We are so absorbed in Bhakti all the time that everything else falls apart. So, the other is the path of devotion, on which knowingly or unknowingly many characters including Anita are progressing. Those who have a strong chitta body are suggested to follow the path of knowledge, while the path of devotion is suitable for those having a strong samskara body. Why so, Deva? Those who are not afraid to break the norm, those who don't fear uncertainty, those who dare to venture into the unknown, those who can question the unquestionable are the right candidates for the path of knowledge. A strong chitta makes you eligible to receive the supreme knowledge which I am imparting to you through these talks. You all are good seekers. The journey of most seekers ends even before it starts. They fail to cross the expert barrier, which you have already crossed, said the Immortal Guru. Should we not know about the expert barrier which we have unknowingly crossed, Deva? What is this expert barrier? Tell me. Take a guess.
कंटिन्यूशन करने के लिए कोई चीज़ को रिपीटेशन में.
No. So basically, when I try to become something, I make myself as an expert in that. For example, let's say I'm a scientist, I'm a doctor. You will see that doctors always will say, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Hi, I'm Dr. Nagbhushan. Right? You take that doctor away from them, what are they? They'll not know. You see an IAS officer, people who are at the highest thing, right? When that post, that power, that gives meaning to their life, the minute you take that away, that's it, they don't know what to do. So people after the age of 60, when they retire, you will see that even with our parents' generation, they become lonely. They feel depressed, they feel sad, they don't know what it is. Why? Because they never realized who they are. They never spent time in self-realization. They attach themselves to the character so much that when that character was taken away from them, they don't know who they are now. So, I think I know about it, said Urva. We are experiencing this world through the instrument of our body and mind. Sure. Different instruments can show the same thing differently. We human beings, out of ego or ignorance, believe that what we see is the only reality. This belief is the biggest barrier in the path of knowledge. Because of this barrier, we examine the existence of the things around us without examining the examiner itself. This has to be crossed. But why is it called the expert barrier, wondered Urmi. Perhaps because we human beings consider ourselves the knowers, the masters, the experts of everything, guessed Urva, expecting a nod from the immortal Guru. Lord Hanuman explained, you can understand the mysteries of the universe by thoroughly studying any single thing. Let's say you directed your curiosity towards a piece of metal. You don't have to study anything else, just a piece of metal. If studied thoroughly, if explored beyond all barriers, can lead you to the absolute truth. You will meet the biggest barrier in the shape of a belief that you have become an expert in the science of metals, that you have studied everything there is to study about metals. Especially for mainstream seekers, this barrier is almost impossible to break. Just imagine that you are a mainstream seeker who has become an expert in the science of metals. What would be your next goal? To become better and better in the science of metals. Even worse, said Lord Hanuman in a sad voice. You would try to use your knowledge to secure your and your family's future, to build relationships, to earn and maintain an image in the society. When you become an expert in something, your intelligence, intellect and samskara taste satisfaction and get tethered to the belief that completion, wholeness and happiness lies within the expert barrier. If your chitta is strong enough to overpower your other three mental bodies, you can break that barrier and start exploring philosophical, metaphysical and even deeper aspects of your field of expertise. A strong chitta makes you break the norms, pushes you beyond your comfort zone, shatters your beliefs of human supremacy, paves the way to know the knower, brings the observer under the observation, forces your invisible mental bodies to reveal themselves. यहाँ पे आ जाओ।
ऑडिट आपके हिसाब से मतलब कोई चीज़ में भी इतना एक्सपर्ट हो गया है ना, क्या उसको उस चीज़ का अच्छी अवेयरनेस हो गई तो नेक्स्ट लेवल का क्या है?
तो वो क्या करेगा? वो बोलेगा कि मैं एक्सपर्ट हूँ। तो इस एक्सपर्टीज में उसमें अहंकार आ जाएगा कि मैं सब जानता हूँ, मैं इस चीज़ के बारे में इतना अच्छा, इतना बखूबी जानता हूँ कि तुम मेरे सामने कुछ नहीं हो। इसमें अगर किसी के पास इसमें विद्या है तो दुनिया में मेरे पास सबसे ज़्यादा विद्या है। और फिर वो जब अहंकार आ जाएगा ना, तो वो अहम को सेपरेट करने में फिर बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा। तो हनुमान जी बोल रहे हैं कि अगर हमें अहंकार से अगर कुछ जानना है, बहुत बारीकी से जानना है, तो तुम्हें इस प्रकार से जानना होगा कि इसे जानने के बाद तुम्हें लगे कि भाई मैं तो कुछ भी नहीं जानता हूँ, कि जितना मैं जानूं इतना मुझे पता चल रहा है कि मैं कुछ भी नहीं जानता हूँ। तो ये मुझे शून्यता की तरफ लेके जाएगा, बल्कि 99% लोग ऐसे कहेंगे कि भाई मैं तो इसमें सब कुछ जानता हूँ, अगर कोई है तो मैं ही हूँ, मैं ही इसका सर्वज्ञ हूँ, मैं ही इसका एक्सपर्ट हूँ, नोबेल प्राइज तो इस फील्ड में मुझे ही मिला है, तो ये अहंकार आ जाता है।
कोई भी चीज़ को अगर जो भी चीज़ जैसे एग्जाम्पल मुझे मतलब ये चीज़ आता है बट इससे और अच्छा आज सीख सकता हूँ, तभी जो भी बेटर।
या जैसे लोग बोलते हैं ना, द मोर आई लर्न अबाउट समथिंग द मोर आई गेट टू नो दैट आई नो नथिंग। तो इससे क्या हो जाता है, अहंकार डिसॉल्व हो जाता है। तो आदमी में एक ह्यूमिलिटी, क्या बोलते हैं उसको,
ईगो में नहीं कोई अहंकार, मतलब यार
वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना कि जब मैं कुछ जानना चाहता हूँ, जानने की प्रयास करता हूँ जो अभी तक जाना नहीं गया, तो इसीलिए तो नोबेल प्राइज देते हैं ना कि तुमने कुछ ऐसा पता किया है कि वो दुनिया में कोई और नहीं जानता था, और तुमने इसके ऊपर इतनी गहराई में तुम गए हो कि तुमने कुछ नया पता किया है और तुमने उसको दुनिया के सामने प्रकाशित किया है। पर यह है कि इसे दो प्रकार के लोग होते हैं। एक जो बोलते हैं, जैसे हमने वो मूवी देखा, तुमने देखा होगा ना कि व्हाट द बिलीव डू वी नो, द मोर आई नो द मोर आई गेट टू नो दैट आई डोंट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट इट। मतलब जानने के लिए बहुत कुछ है और मैंने सिर्फ खरोचा है। पर कुछ लोग होते हैं, तुम मिले होगे, ये अच्छा इसके बारे में जानना चाहते हो, मैं ही हूँ, मैं ही बता सकता हूँ। तो वो मैं का जो अहंकार आ जाता है उसमें, तो वो तुम्हें भगवान की तरफ लेके नहीं जाएगा। तो दैट्स व्हाई ही सेज a strong chitta makes you, it pushes you beyond your comfort zone. अगर मैं सोचूं कि मैं सब कुछ जानता हूं तो कितना तुम लर्न कर सकते हो उसके बारे में, कुछ भी नहीं, तुम्हारा एक जगह जाके रुक जाएगा। देवा, since it's all about revealing the four mental bodies, why not study the mind from the beginning instead of wasting time in studying metals and other things? Or a query ruled me, or better still, study the soul. जाहिर क्वेश्चन है ना। हाँ, तो सवाल यह है कि since we know, why should you study a metal? You can study the soul itself. A mind expert or a soul expert is not any nearer to the truth than, say, a metal expert, said Lord Hanuman. No matter in what domain you have gleaned knowledge, if your intelligence, intellect and samskara are feeling satisfied, you have not crossed the expert barrier. Your journey on the path of knowledge truly begins when you have crossed this crucial barrier. Deva, from what I could gather from the scenes you showed us, Anita hasn't been following the path of knowledge. She has been following the path of devotion, told Lord Hanuman. Majority of the human population is following this path rightly or wrongly, knowingly or unknowingly. Does the path of devotion also involve exposing the mental bodies, Deva, and thereby enabling the soul to master its awareness setting? Lord Hanuman replied, on the path of devotion, devotees cut off their original mental bodies that are invisible and adopt new ready-made mental bodies that are simple and visible. Cut off mental bodies? How, Deva? How can I cut off my mental bodies? First, you have to surrender yourself to a guru or a deity with utmost faith, said Lord Hanuman. He or she will give you a new intelligence body, a new intellect body, a new samskara body and a new chitta body. Your guru will provide you with a new approach to live life, a simple belief system. Let's examine how. Your original intelligence body is too complex. It keeps on making and modifying vibrant future goals. Your guru replaces it with a simple intelligence body that has one simple and unchangeable future goal. For instance, the goal of securing a place in something called heaven. Heaven, murmur urva. One future goal that you can believe in. It can be anything. Different gurus give different goals, said Lord Hanuman. Once Purva's doubt was clarified, Lord Hanuman continued. Your original intellect categorizes people in dozens of different categories such as family, friend, fellow tribesmen, fellow countrymen, close relatives, distant relatives, and so on. Your guru replaces it with a straightforward intellect that categorizes people in just two categories. People who have the same faith as yours and those who don't. This is reminding me of Islam. Same here. Your original samskara has so many images to maintain. Your guru replaces it with a simple samskara with only one image to keep, that of a sincere devotee. Your original chitta craves chaos and disorder in so many ways. Your guru replaces it with a simple chitta with just one idea of chaos. Do as your guru says without any second thought, no matter how radical it may seem. This way, your guru replaces all your original mental bodies with new ones. Do you now understand why the majority of human beings are following the path of devotion? Yes, Deva, said Purva. It simplifies everything. It reduces the complex multi-dimensional world into a flat black and white painting. Faith is like a thick smoke that engulfs everything so that you see what you believe, not what is out there, stated Lord Hanuman. It's a simple path to make your soul aware. Successfully or unsuccessfully, Islam is unsuccessfully. But if what they follow itself is wrong and is wrongly motivating them, what's the point?
That's the thing, that the main thing is you have to follow the guru, but the guru is not that much powerful.
Guru has misguided, is completely misguided. He has said, all the misguided things have been put in there. So you are on the wrong track, but you are completely dedicated to being on the wrong track. So unsuccessfully. The majority of human beings are following this path. Your guru can be visible or invisible, living or non-living. Even a field of art can be your guru. For example, musicians are devotees of music. For them, music is a guru that replaces their original complex mental bodies with simple ones. Getting new mental bodies is like getting a new character, isn't it, Deva? Do all devotees have two characters, one original and the other adopted? Queried Urva. Indeed, replied Lord Hanuman. As I explained earlier, when a soul commands 7 strings of time, it gets attached to a human character. When you surrender to your guru, your soul starts expanding its command on the T strings. The number of T strings commanded by a devotee soul is more than 7 and less than or equal to 14. And the idea is to kill the original character, to cut off the original mental bodies. वो पिंडदान जब हम अपना ही पिंडदान करते हैं, जब हम संन्यास लेते हैं ना, तो वही तो है. बीज मंत्र दिया जाता है जपने के लिए, बीज मंत्र, उसके बाद एडवांस मंत्र, पर बीज मंत्र दिया जाता है, तुम उसको वही जपते रहना और फिर अपना ही पिंडदान करके संन्यास करना. तो जब गुरु आपको संन्यास में आपका ये मार्गदर्शन करता है ना, तो यही तो होता है.
Forget your own self and capture the new self.
Yes. So, and the idea is to kill the original character, to cut off the original mental bodies? Not necessarily, replied Lord Hanuman. Some devotees can cut off and others can't. On that basis, the path of devotion splits into two. The path of loving devotion and the path of disciplined devotion. Devotees on the path of loving devotion can't block access to their original mental bodies fully. Although they sincerely try to adhere to the adopted bodies, they have their weak moments in which they fall for desires triggered by their original mental bodies. They don't feel guilty about it because they love their deity or guru. They believe that they are allowed to go off track once in a while. They believe that love and sincerity matter more than anything else. But how would their souls become aware if they didn't follow their gurus properly? If they didn't fully adopt the mental bodies given by their gurus, asked Urmi. When a soul frequently switches between the original mental bodies and the adopted ones, it realizes that it is separate from both. It realizes that the soul and the mind are not the same things. It becomes aware of the freedom of switching from one character to another character, answered the Immortal Guru. Let us take this up the next. Still have a lot of chapters. But I think this is something that we can follow. Manjunath Bhatta, thank you.